Well, it's been a week of research, testing, video commenter input, and lots of internal debate. Do I still disagree with what Angus said? Let's find out. First, a little history about me and the position I'm coming from. I've been creating polygon models since returning to study in 1999, and as of 2019, I'm now a 20-year veteran of the animation industry. I have extensive experience across multiple 3D software packages, from Lightwave to Maya to Blender, and I've been using Blender since about 2010. I've created detailed polygon models and animation for television commercials, TV show openers, as well as animation for games and films. In 1999, I started my polygon modelling career using Lightwave, before moving on to Maya around 2005, then Blender around 2010. In all of those packages, I've always been a polygon modeler. I'm sure I've looked at CAD packages over the years, but always found them to be too restrictive and limiting. Early AutoCAD comes to mind. For me, polygon modelling gives me the freedom to create whatever I want, from a character to a mechanical part. My method of modelling can often include modelling one polygon at a time. I've always worked this way. I like it, I enjoy it, and I have complete control of the mesh and mesh density, and I only need to place the detail where I need it. I have done some sculpting in Blender, but I don't like how quickly the mesh becomes dense and unwieldy. Now you might be thinking, they're character models and those models don't require precision. Well, you're right, but I do model and 3D print mechanical parts as well. I've designed and made a heap of mechanical type parts around here, upgrades for my printer, accessories for my camera, and even gifts for my wife, and I've never had a reason to question the precision of the STL files coming out of Blender. The tolerances are as expected, and the functionality is as expected. Now the question here is, after a week of research, testing and internal debate, do I still disagree with Angus? Well, let's replay what Angus said.
It's just, for an open source program and it's free, it's unmatched, basically. So go check out Blender if you're interested in designing any sort of characters or anything organic. It's not great for precise measured designs like cases for boxes and things. You can do it, but really Fusion's much better for that.
Okay, let's create a quick box with a lid. Don't worry, it won't take long, but I think it'll help demonstrate why I'm struggling with that comment. If I go to Blender and I'll turn on my screencast keys so you can see what's happening with what keys I'm pressing on the bottom left and the time it's going to take. Let's create a box which is 75 millimeters by 75 millimeters by 50 millimeters. So we have a box. Let's remove the face off the top here and we'll apply the scale. Now let's give the box some radius corners, and we only want this corner, and this corner, the four corners to be radiused. We'll give them an 8 millimeter radius, and we'll give them 48 segments so they're nice and smooth. So there's our basic shape. Now let's give it some thickness. I'm going to make the walls 1.2 millimeters thick because that's 3 times my nozzle width, which should give me 3 layers for the wall. And I'm going to make sure it's even thickness, high quality normals. Now there's our box. That took 1 minute 20 seconds. And everything is updatable. I can change the radius at any time. I can change the size at any time, the depth any time, the thickness at any time. So let's take the radius back to say 8 millimeters. Now let's create a lid. Just going to duplicate it on the Z-axis, rotate it 180 degrees on the X-axis, and we'll give the lid a depth of 20 millimeters. I'm going to apply to scale, and let's have a look from the top. Now the lid we want to offset +1. You can see here now we have an exact fit. Let's give the lid a 0.5 millimeter gap for tolerance. So I'm just going to make the X 75.5 millimeters, and I'll make the Y 75.5 millimeters. Turn back on our solidify, have a look from the top. So we now have a 0.5 millimeter gap on the top there. And I'm looking at the segments. I could probably bump this up a little bit to line it up a little bit better. Here we go. I just needed to offset the radius as well. So there we have a lid and a box which are completely updatable at any time, around 3 minutes to create, and by using the modifiers, you know, it's fully live. I can change the scale, I can change the size, I can change all the dimensions, I can change the thickness, and I can change the radiuses of the corners. And when I go to export it as an STL, all I have to do is make sure that I turn on selection only, so I only select the export the parts I've selected. If I'm going to Cura 1516, I'll leave the scale at 1. If I'm going to Cura 3.6, which I am, I'll make the scale 1000. I'll tick on scene unit, and I'll tick on apply modifiers. And if we bring it into Cura, you can see that the dimensions are correct, 75 by 75 by 50, and we have our 3 wall thickness as we selected in Blender. So this is why I'm struggling with that comment, because at any time I can go back and like a CAD package, change the dimensions, update the dimensions. It's all live. I haven't applied anything, and it took 3 minutes to make a box and lid, and it's precise. There's no difference in precision between from the tests I've done between Fusion 360, Blender, and SolidWorks. I brought in all the 3 different meshes that people created for me, and they're identical. There is no difference. So the speed is there, the precision's there, the ability to update this particular model of box and lid at any time is there. I can see no advantage to doing this in a CAD package like Fusion 360 over Blender. So after all that, I think you know where I stand. I would recommend Blender for parts, boxes and lids with things, and anything that requires precision. I find that we tend to fall into 2 different camps. You have the more mechanical-minded people who like to work in CAD, and you have the more artistic people who like to freeform model. So the choice might not be as simple as A or B. Some people are going to naturally be more comfortable in Blender, and some people are naturally going to be more comfortable in CAD. If you find that you're a mechanical person and you like to work with numbers and measurements and everything's locked down, CAD may be the best bet for you, even for simple parts and simple objects or simple boxes. But if you're artistic and you like to freeform, sculpt, and just have complete freedom in your modelling, then a polygon modeler like Blender is definitely the better option, in my opinion. Oh yes, and my printer is out and needs calibrating. I made up this little test with 10mm segments. Across 170 millimeters, it's at about 1.3 millimeters on both the X and Y axis and possibly Z. Apparently, I need to adjust these firmware settings. I just need to work out how to do that on my printer. Okay, well it's been quite a week for me, and it's now time to sign off and have a rest. I hope you got as much value out of this video as I have. Thank you for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you later.